Hi, in today's day I wanted to share with you 5 common reasons why people fail job interviews today in a bit to help you to maybe improve on these and hopefully significantly improve your chances to be successful in your job interviews. The first thing I'd like to talk about here would be mental strength. Okay, so mental strength is an issue that many candidates have, especially nowadays. And if you know yourself having this problem, then maybe you know a best effort type of approach might not be the most appropriate. So maybe setting up smaller goals, more achievable types of goals, both in your interview prep and during your job interview, might work out for you. It's perfectly plausible for candidates to pass job interviews this way with any high-performing company, right? The second thing I'd like to talk about here would be it's more common than most candidates realize to interview in a bid to get up-leveled. Okay, so many candidates are too intentional about getting up-leveled as a result of their job interview. Yet I just checked this year, I was never able to correlate interview success with someone who even mentioned the keyword up-level. Okay, so up-leveling is not the result of you being intentional about this during a job interview, but rather, and this is my fix here, rather focusing on putting together a great show, a great performance during a job interview, and as a result of that great performance, you will be eventually offered an up-leveled role. This does happen. It did happen on several occasions in my experience, and again the focus should be on putting together a great show versus being intentional about getting up leveled. The third thing I'd like to talk about here is bluffing. Bluffing has become a huge issue in job interviews today, especially because of the usage of AI. Now I won't insist how do people bluff in job interviews, because I believe that's quite easy to understand. But what I would like to suggest here is you go on the opposite direction. That is, I've had a lot of success with people who stayed scrappy intentionally in their elevator pitch and in their answers in general, in a bit to sound as genuine as possible and to earn their interviewer's trust. The moment you earn your interviewer's trust, that's when you are in the best spot to be successful in these job interviews. And it might be, sounds counterintuitive, but it works. Okay. Point number 4 I wanted to communicate today would be that it's far easier than you realize for an interviewer to read you and to get you into difficult situations. Or let me put it straight. Candidates easily take the bite in job interviews. Okay, so if you'd be interviewing for a living, you'd understand, more or less how candidates think, and you would know more or less if you want to put stress on a candidate, how to ask them something that they will struggle with while answering. So for example, if I'd ask you how do you handle conflict, 95% of you would tell me your hypothesis on handling conflict, which wouldn't be of interest. But if I'd ask you, tell me about the time when you had a conflict with your manager, then you would answer me with a star question and you would give a great answer. Right? So my point here is that if you slow down the interviewing pace and you listen carefully to what your interviewer asks, you're in a far better spot to give the best possible answers, because in a very short period of time that they interview, they must put pressure on you somehow. They must find something, to put you in difficulty. Whereas if you interview slowly, chances are you will spot some of these traps, right? And this is something, the best method to avoid monumental mistakes as well within job interviews. But listening skills and slowing down your interviewing pace, listening carefully before answering a question is something that most candidates underestimate with their interviews, right? And number 5, last but not least, is that you should understand that the vast majority of candidates applying for job interviews are lazy. Okay, now it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're a lazy candidate for a job interview, but I know from experience most of you cannot afford being lazy. Okay, so if you have a CV, if you have great recommendations, and you are a subject matter expert, and you're good at interviewing, then you can afford being lazy, right? It makes no sense for you over stressing around that interview. But if you're not in this situation, you should understand that a huge number of candidates would simply work like crazy to pass the job interviews, and would simply because due to the simple fact that they really want the job and work like crazy for it, they will make a far better performance than someone who's maybe more qualified than them. There's this thing, that in behavioral interviews they screen you on your past experiences and they couldn't care less about your potential. Well, let me divest from this thinking, and I must tell you that any company you can think of in this world does hire for potential. And I've seen countless of examples of people who really wanted a job, and in spite of the fact they weren't experts or they didn't have impressive CVs, they did get offered that role simply because they really wanted it and they worked like crazy for it. So long story short, you should know that this is real. Like there's still people getting jobs because they work very hard to get them. And this is another way you could differentiate yourself from other candidates in job interviews. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.